Hi, Prince, UK self-defense green, time to sharpen the blades, oh yeah. Okay, today we're looking at the famous Bruce Lee 1-inch punch. And a lot of you know this from the movie. In actuality, when it's performed from around about 1 inch through to 6 inches. And it comes from a system called Wing Chun, where once you sink the bridge or you get over somebody's attack at close range, so there's their arms, you get over their attack at close range, and then you can fire this shot off. Now, there's a guy that does a tutorial that was one of Bruce Lee's original students called Richard Bustillo. And I've always admired Richard and Ted Wong, because these guys adhere to the traditional methods of Jeet Kune Do rather than going down the route of Jeet Inasando, which is Dan Inosanto's method that he expanded with Panantukan and other fighting arts that kind of all amalgamate together. But I'm going to show you my interpretation of Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch, and I've been doing this since I was a young boy, and I'm going to show you some exercises that you can actually do, and I'm also going to show you the one that Richard Bustillo showed, that he showed directly from Bruce Lee, a method to actually strengthen this shot. Now, the actual shot itself, there's a lot of misconception. I see some mixed martial artists who are doing it online and actually doing it more as in this position, and they're doing it just as a push. So they're in this position like this, and they do just a push like that, okay? It's not quite as easy as that. What we're looking at here in this position is, obviously you've got some nice foot placement, okay? But the actual technique itself comes, from the chain of movement. It actually pivots from the hip. So you've got to have your foot placed just correctly. The chain comes up through the quad and the hamstrings, through to the obliques, the intercostals and the latimus dorsi, the lats, through to then the posterior deltoid, the tricep, the bicep, the extensors, through to that whip at the end. So the actual movement is that. That's the actual movements. So it's that movement there, right? But then you incorporate a little bit of that movement like that. So once you've got the technique, it then boils down to strengthening yourself up. But first and foremost, I'm going to show you in the corner of the wall how I actually use that small space to practice this small movement. And I'm doing it on the opposite side, slightly different. So when I stand there, I'm going into this position, and it's a short chain, bam, and I'm just going to hit that. But I'm going to do it on the opposite side, bam, so you can get to see differently. So I go into this position. This is more of a forward facing stance. I'll put my hand against the wall. That's a movement I'm trying to achieve, but from a lead hand. Okay, now, if you're limited for tools and you've got to practice this straight type of movement, okay, because you want to practice that. That's it, you're trying to practice that movement there, okay? And then when you've got that, you're trying to then bring in the hip. So, number one, spare weight. You can stand there all day and you can practice just this will help. That weight. Do sets, 20, 30, 40, 50, whatever you feel comfortable with, but you want to get up to sets of 500 and doing that 2 or 3 times a week. Second, standard weight. Very similar again, okay, just getting the general movement. Third, which is one of my favourite, which I love to use. I use this in all my hand techniques, and it's actually a leg weight. And I love this. So you get the idea. That one out of the lot of them is the best because the way it moves on your wrist. And finally, before we get to one that Richard Bustillo shows, is this. Now, if you don't know about rubber band training, what happens with rubber band training, and I'll bend this one in half, I take it around the back here, and I go through this slow. And back. See that? Direct. So, and back. One more time. And back. Science shows that the force inside the band, when you're extending it, actually is transferred to the tendon. So you end up getting this amazing ability for the movement of a real hardcore snap, and it actually helps speed. But the last one we're going to look at is the one from Richard Bustillo, who he got directly from Bruce Lee. So, I've modified mine. Bruce used like a broom handle with a stopper there and a weight there, a little bit of movement, so look at that there. But this is a modified version, this is a heavier version, okay? And the whole idea is when you flick it like that, when you flick it like that, this will move, okay? So I'll show you what we do. We got that. And that is what Bruce Lee used to get himself good with the 1-inch punch. So, we know now that the 1-inch punch has a chain that it goes through. We know that you've got to be planted in a nice stance. You can see there, okay? And we know that we get this position. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a little demonstration on the dummy of the correct form that I've always used. I mean, if you implement some of these methods in your training, I mean, you've got to do weight training, your cardiovascular, and you've got to do a lot of punching as well. You'll get good at doing this short punch, and it's ideally for close range. So, I mean, it's not a jab, it's not a cross, but it's just something that is an extra tool in your box, and it may come in handy. But I'll show you what I mean. So, I'll get into my position, and I'm going to go, say, from here. So I'm not going too far away, you can actually see there. So, I think you get the idea. It depends on how you actually deliver that. If you get it right, boom, then the force is transferred internally and it can cause a lot of damage. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that tip. This is Prince, UK Self-Defense Green. If you enjoy these little videos, like a lot of my subscribers do, please hit the subscribe button and give me a like. Yeah.